You're probably not the only one asking what it is. It is not a stupid question. The number one question I get asked on panels from prospective clients and even friends and family is, what is PR? It is not a stupid question. If you're wondering the same thing, you're in good company today, and I'm going to talk you through what PR is. So great to have you with us. My name's Katie. I'm the host of Maybe Pod. This is where you found yourself today. Welcome. This is brought to you by International Public Relations Agency Maybe. And this episode is all about what public relations is and what countercultural public relations is. We'll get to that in a second. The funny thing about PR is that you're probably not the only one asking what it is. I mean, there's a lot of research to back this up. We could do a whole history lesson, but a lot of the literature shows that PR is widely misunderstood, even by PR practitioners themselves globally. This is on a global scale. People think it's marketing. Is it advertising? Where does it fit into communications? How is it different from ads and marketing? And so it's not a silly question to be asking what essentially and effectively is public relations. If I do keep the academic hat on for just a second, so we as Maybe Agency published the very first thesis in the world that looked at key success factors for nonprofit PR globally. And in that process, I had to do a huge literature review. It was a very big dissertation. And I found in the research this big gap on understanding of what public relations is, not just for nonprofits, but for private sector as well. And so if we look, as I said, at the literature, what the research is showing us is that people don't really know what PR is. It's widely misunderstood and confused. And in fact, I think that's even how sometimes agencies can charge very big retainers because clients don't even really know what they're supposed to expect from the public relations that they're paying for. Obviously, Maybe Agency is a counter to that, and we'll talk about countercultural PR in a moment. But back to what is PR. I like to describe it in a very simple way of saying public relations is all about your relations to every one of your publics. So that would be every audience that your organization would have in mind. So there could be donors, they could be, if you're, for example, a nonprofit, Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia, let's take a charity. So you could have donors, patients, researchers, advocates, the general public. Anyone that your organization is relating to is a public. And so public relations is the art of understanding how to relate to, how to communicate with each and every one of those publics. But how do we define PR? I like to get the dictionary out. We just went through a literature review and a history lesson, but let's get to the dictionary as well, because I found two fantastic definitions of public relations that I think will really help you beyond my description just then of public relations and relating to all of your publics, which is still, I think, the most simplest way to describe public relations. In that definition, you also see and understand that public relations is not just earned media or owned media. It really spans out to social media. It can cover all aspects of communications, digital comms. You could put marketing and advertising under PR if you were going with that definition. I certainly do, and we do so at Maybe Agency. But yeah, it's a very broad spectrum in terms of how you relate to all of your public. Speech writing, I mean, can be anything and everything in terms of when you're on and communicating to those publics, how to do that. But let's get into the definition. So this is from the PR Society of America. Public relations is a strategic communication process that builds mutually beneficial relationships between organizations and their publics. At its core, it was just like my definition. Wonderful. Public relations is about influencing, engaging, and building a relationship with key stakeholders across numerous platforms in order to shape and frame the public perception of an organization. Couldn't have said it better myself, PR Society of America. Well done. There is also the PR Institute Australia, who say public relations is the deliberate, planned, and sustained effort to establish mutual understanding between an organization and its publics. There we are again. PR is a management function involving effective communication between an organization and the people and organizations that may be interested in, concerned about, or need to know how they may be affected by the activities or future plans of the organization. Bit more wordy, that one, but I think you see what I mean. Public relations is all about relating to all of those touch points, all of those stakeholders that your organization has. And as I mentioned, that's why I think that all essence of communications can fall under public relations. So crisis comms, strategy planning, research, and as I said, marketing, advertising, social media, it's all a part under the big umbrella of PR. So the second biggest question I get, do I need PR? Well, In my opinion, yes, you do. Because marketing is great, advertising is great, but public relations is more about trusted media and building those effective relationships long-term that are sustained with all your key stakeholders. So instead of buying an ad, you're really getting, for example, a news story that's editorial that's published about your organization. It's more trusted. People that read it know that it's a legitimate story, it's an interesting story, otherwise it wouldn't have been published as an editorial piece. It's earned media. And therefore, you can start to build those really trustworthy relationships with different stakeholders when they see you in the media, not just in ads and in marketing, but in really, well thought out features and editorial pieces. And it can take many forms, right? So we're talking thought leadership, press releases, media alerts. We can do feature articles, interviews. There's a whole lot of ways that public relations can eventuate and a lot of different tools you can use. The thing is, as I said, it's not paid spend, but it's organic, it's newsworthy, and it's trustworthy. That's how PR is different. Instead of just ads about your company, what you're doing with public relations when you use it effectively is you're building trust with your audiences. And again, it's over a long-term time. It really builds your reputation in the eyes of your stakeholders in a trustworthy and in an honest way that they can rely on. So I like to think of PR as like the bedrock of communications. You can add marketing, you can add ad spend on top, but really PR is earned media. And it can be, to some degree, some of your owned media. So people get to know really who you are behind the organization, what you're driving towards, what your impact is, in easy to understand ways, but in editorial ways that they can trust. The very next question I get then is, what is countercultural PR? And I could go on about this for a very long time. I'll keep it short for maybe pod and for your listening ears, but this is a really important distinction for me to make because I feel like we just discussed, PR has been misunderstood and been confused in the industry from practitioners, but also clients for a very long time. And I love public relations. Obviously, I've dedicated my career to it. It's been about 20 years that I've worked in PR and comms. And it's saddened me the entire time, all 2 decades, to see big agencies that charge clients huge retainers or huge one-off fees for projects, and the client doesn't know what they should expect. The agency doesn't deliver. I mean, look, public relations, you can't guarantee it for sure. You can't guarantee the results that you'll get from media pitching or thought leadership pitching or how many people will read your article, but you can guarantee great and effective public relations. And that's why I founded Maybe Agency, to be countercultural PR. It's countering this outdated culture and this outdated industry narrative that great PR is not possible, or it's non-committal. Let's see what we can do. Maybe we'll be able to get a great result for you. Maybe we'll be able to get XYZ hits. Maybe just give us, another couple of months and we'll keep trying, we'll keep pitching. Maybe we'll be able to do it. Well, we're flipping that narrative on its head, and this is what I mean by countercultural PR. And that's why we're called Maybe, because also it's a play on words that, maybe, really, we are not non-committal. We can actually deliver great effective PR, and we can understand PR. We've proved that with our thesis, having a 5-step framework to effective PR, which we'll talk about in upcoming episodes. But we're moving the needle on this very outdated industry narrative. So from maybe we can do it, maybe it's possible, to let's see what may be. It's bold, it's definitive, it's results driven. That's how we operate at Maybe Agency, and that's what countercultural public relations is. Then the next question you should be asking is, well, what does it mean for me? So we talked about marketing and advertising. Public relations is not that, but how do you use it? Should you be using it? How do you understand it? How do you use it effectively? First of all, it's a function in and of itself. So it's not comms, it's not marketing, it's not advertising. It can involve elements of that, and they can be under the umbrella of it, but it is a function in and of itself, in its own right, public relations. Secondly, great PR is possible. It's not as confusing or as hard as some agencies may have led you to believe in the past. It is possible. And thirdly, you do need it. Public relations is the way that you build credibility, you build your reputation, and you build trust. That's what PR builds. That's what people are expecting to see from the organizations that they deal with. That's what the world needs. So what are some examples of PR? We can dive into rapid fire examples of tools that we use, and we'll get to these in subsequent episodes in very much detail, but I want to fire a few at you today. Media releases, media alerts, feature articles, opinion editorials, thought leadership pieces, social media commentary, speeches, talking points. We do a lot of those. Communications plans, digital communications. So it could be blogs, podcasts, video, news updates, newsletters, personal branding, interviews, press conferences, That's all I've got for the rapid fire. But essentially, there's so many things that make up what great public relations is and the way that you can relate to all the different publics that you have in your organization. So next week, now that we know what PR is and what countercultural public relations is, and the fact that you do need it to drive credibility, reputation, and trust, we're going to dive next week into the 5 key success factors for effective public relations globally. This is from the thesis that we put together and published, and I'm going to walk you through all 5 in great detail. It's a very specific framework that you can easily follow for effective PR. So sharpen your pencil, get ready for next week's episode, and a lot of learning. It's been great to have you with us today on what is PR, what is countercultural PR, this second episode of Maybe Pod. My name's Katie Clift. It was a pleasure to spend the time with you. Hit like, subscribe, share this episode with a friend if you think that they may be able to benefit from it, and we can't wait to see you next week.